hidden light, vibrant in every atom.
O hidden life, vibrant in every atom.
O hidden light, shining in every creature.
O hidden light, shining in every creature.
O hidden love, embracing all in oneness.
O hidden love, embracing all in oneness.
May each who feels himself as one with thee
May each who feels himself as one with thee
know he is also one with every other.
know he is also one with every other.
अ, आप सभी का बहुत स्वागत है। आज हमारे बीच राष्ट्रीय प्रवक्ता श्री बी.डी. तेंदुलकर जी मौजूद हैं। इन्होंने वैसे तो टाटा इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ सोशल स्टडीज से एमए किया है, कि अपने आप में एक बहुत ही नायाब चीज़ है, और इन्होंने एलएलबी भी किया है, और ये मैनेजमेंट एमबीए के विजिटिंग फैसिलिटी भी रहे हैं। आप तेंदुलकर जी एसओएस विलेज फॉर ऑर्फन चिल्ड्रन के डायरेक्टर इंचार्ज भी रहे हैं, तथा काफी समय से थियोसफी के माध्यम से सेवा के लिए पूर्ण रूप से समर्पित हैं। पूना लॉज के प्रेसिडेंट और महाराष्ट्र थियोसॉफिकल फेडरेशन के सेक्रेटरी की पोस्ट को भी संभाल चुके हैं। ये काफी समय से हमारे तेंदुलकर जी नेशनल लेक्चरर भी हैं। आज जो सब्जेक्ट इन्होंने चूज किया है वो बहुत ही अच्छा सब्जेक्ट है और हमेशा का है, जो कि लॉ ऑफ लॉज हम कहते हैं, कर्मों का नियम, उसके बारे में बात की जाएगी। एक बात और कहना चाहूँगा कि ये हमारे जो शंकर लॉज के मीटिंग्स हैं, पहले के भी और आज के भी, ये सब रिकॉर्डिंग होती है, और यूट्यूब चैनल पे कभी भी कोई सुनना चाहे तो थियोसॉफी दिल्ली के नाम से डाल के कभी भी इसको सुना जा सकता है, देखा जा सकता है। अब मैं और समय ना जाया कर ब्रदर तेंदुलकर जी को इनवाइट करूंगा कि प्लीज आइए और कर्मा के बारे में हम लोगों को बताएं, प्लीज ब्रदर तेंदुलकर जी। हेलो ब्रदर तेंदुलकर जी। हेलो तेंदुलकर जी। तेंदुलकर जी का किसी वजह से म्यूट हो गया अभी लग रहा है, और ये अनम्यूट नहीं कर पा रहे शायद। अभी तो अनम्यूट था। हेलो ब्रदर तेंदुलकर जी।
हो गया।
हाँ हाँ, प्लीज स्टार्ट कीजिए।
हो गया अपना इंट्रोडक्शन।
हाँ हाँ, हो गया सर तेंदुलकर जी, बस
I was not receiving that, so I just wondered whether I should begin. Okay.
प्लीज
At the outset, I thank Shankar Lodge and Delhi Theosophical Federation for giving me this opportunity to speak on this interesting topic, law of karma. When I communicated this topic to Brother Mathur, he said, "Oh, it's a good topic, law of laws, evergreen topic." And I think it's a fitting description of this law. It has been said that karma nemesis, or this law of retribution, is at the root of this universe. It is there from eternity. Rather, it has been described as eternity itself, which means that it is built into the very constitution of the universe. Right from beginning, it is, we can say, governing the whole universe. It applies to everything, every action, what happens in the nature. And therefore, we can see that the whole universe, for billions of years now, is running smoothly, without any problems. The law has assumed importance, perhaps, when man came into the picture. As you know, man is a free agent in nature. All other creations in nature are distinct from man in one sense, and that is, man is a free agent in nature. Man is a self-conscious creature, as distinct from all other creations. He has got his own intelligence, and he uses that. And he can consciously act according to his discretion, his will or desire. While all other creatures of nature, they don't have this self-consciousness. Their actions are mostly guided by natural instinct. And this instinct helps them in their survival. There is no consideration of self or growth and development of self or one's future. They live as the time passes. But in case of man, he has got this thinking capacity, ability. He has got ability to perceive things, and he is guided by this self-consideration, which also gives rise to various kinds of desires. Because as he perceives the object of perception create desires. And desires create some sort of either attraction or distraction about the objects. And that leads to thinking how to acquire objects or how to avoid the objects. And this leads to action. So man's action is not similar to the action of members of other kingdoms, lower kingdoms, like plant kingdom or animal kingdom. And in that sense, man is a free agent in nature. And since he acts according to his thinking, it is not necessarily in line with nature's plan. Many times there are contradictions and conflicts. The way man acts, therefore, can create problems of, say, harmony, equilibrium, peace, when it is not in line with general scheme of the nature. So this part, action part, karma, is not the part of law of karma. It is the man's part. And the part of law of karma arises in relation to restoring the balance or equilibrium of nature, which is disturbed by man's action. So this equilibrium or move towards equilibrium, restoring equilibrium, is the effect of the cause. So cause is created by the man, while effect is produced by the law of karma. And this goes on. This restoration of balance involves either things pleasant or things unpleasant to the person who is responsible for creating the cause. And then man has to act again. Either he enjoys the pleasant things or he suffers from the unpleasant things. And to enjoy or to suffer, again he acts, and a chain begins. Chain of causes and chain of effects. And this goes on endlessly. The force created by man, by introducing causes in the working, has to produce the effect. And therefore, causes, effect, effect, causes, chain continues. The forces released cannot end without producing results. And therefore, man is faced with a situation where he cannot stop acting, he cannot refuse responsibility for the causes created. If it is an individual, then the forces affect the individual. If it is a group of persons, it gives rise to collective karma, and that affects the group or community of people. So this becomes a chain and concern of the man is how to remain unaffected in this process. He blames the destiny or fate, forgetting that he is at the root cause of his destiny and fate. If we compare a man of the old days, when his intellect was not governing his life, when he had just evolved out of animal kingdom, there was very little conflict with nature. He was living his life mostly like animals without any quarrel or conflict with nature. He was either out of fear or out of temptation of benefits, ensuring that he will keep things without any kind of disturbance, dislocation, and the life remains smooth. The present man, the civilized man, the man with the aid of science and technology, has become more and more materialistic. And as a result, he is more concerned with materialistic benefits which he can derive from the knowledge and skills which he has developed out of science and technology. And in doing this, he has been exploiting every situation, whether it is natural or man-made, to his advantage. He looks to everything from his point of view. It's selfish, self-centered, how it will be beneficial to him, losing sight how it affects others. So his perception is grossly conditioned by his own self-interest. He can see things which are beneficial to him, and he conveniently ignores things which are not beneficial to him or things which are harmful to others. Inevitably, therefore, his actions create causes which disturb the balance. And the law of karma is ever active to respond to every such cause, to restore the balance which is disturbed. And therefore we will find that many of the acts which we call as natural acts are, if we go to the root cause, are really not the natural causes, but they are man-made. We find problems of atmosphere, climatic changes, seasons are affected, crops are affected, there are disasters, These are all manifestations of the process of restoration of balance. Perhaps the present crisis of COVID-19 is also some kind of restorative process. What man has done in the past, sometimes there are small things which are corrected immediately. Sometimes there are accumulated things and they are corrected after a lapse of time. So the effects can be seen immediately or they could be felt at a much later stage. That's why many times even the actions are classified in different ways. In law of karma, they are classified as sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, kriyamana karma. What difference is there in these classifications? We must understand that we create causes which are to be worked out. We create karma. And the forces set in motion are active, but they are not always neutralized by effects produced. If we can work out them in a reasonable time, such kriyamana karmas will produce no sustaining effects for the future. But if they are not worked out, then naturally they remain as potential causes for the future. And that is how what we call sanchita karma is built up. So this sanchita karma is a kind of burden which we bear all throughout, not only in one life, because we cannot work out all the causes, therefore they remain in balance and form the sanchita, means accumulated karma. And it becomes the responsibility of the individual who has created the causes to work them out. So this explains the necessity of reincarnation. If one cannot work out the causes in the same life, when will he do it? It can only be done by extension of life. But life is limited. Our bodies have a limited lifetime. And physical body is an instrument which can work out. So when body goes, there is an after-death life. And there is reincarnation also. So reincarnation is for the purpose of working out those causes which have remained to be worked out after death. So the kriyamana karmas adds to the sanchit karma, and sanchit karma goes on increasing. Part of it comes to the next incarnation as prarabdha karma. And this prarabdha karma decides the kind of our birth, kind of our parents, family, relatives, friends, caste, religion, nation to which we belong. Because all these factors should be such as would facilitate the working out of the prarabdha karma in that incarnation. Generally, it is only a part of Sanchit karma, not the whole of Sanchit karma. Because whole of the Sanchit karma cannot be worked out in one incarnation, because we have created it over so many incarnations in the past. So if we look at this process, we can see why in religion we have been advised to understand this peculiar phenomenon of the cycle of birth and death, which continues for thousands or perhaps millions of years. And why this continues like this? Because we really cannot neutralize the forces which we have created and set in motion. Unless we understand those forces and are in a position to act in a manner which will neutralize those forces, this process will continue endlessly. So we must understand why this is so. This is so because, as I explained, man is a free agent. Man is capable of creating karma which disturbs the balance of nature, equilibrium of nature. So he must understand that it is his moral responsibility not to disturb the equilibrium of nature. He has to understand also the purpose of his life, the divine plan, the plan of evolution. When he causes the karmas to be set in motion, he forgets this essential purpose of life. He gets involved into the pleasures of life. While enjoying those pleasures, he creates karmas which cause pain and suffering. So alternatively, this goes on, pleasure and pain, or happiness and sorrow. And in that process, he is so much engrossed, involved, that he forgets the purpose of life. He gets attached to all these things so much that he gets conditioned by those factors. He really does not remain an independent agent, though he is a free agent in nature. Because of these attachments, his real powers get grossly affected adversely. And he becomes almost helpless in this whole process, set in motion by himself. He cannot sort out the complexities, complications, of which he is the creator. Therefore, there is need to understand this working of the law of karma. It is the ignorance of the law of karma which creates all the problems, the suffering, the pain. Therefore, there is need of understanding. And life provides opportunities of learning, provided we are vigilant and we are unattached to the incidents or happenings in life. When we are attached, we suffer from either pain or we forget to learn from the incidents when we are overwhelmed by the enjoyments of the event? Can we remain unattached and remain as silent spectators, observers, students of life to learn from it? If we can take such detached attitude towards life, perhaps there is a possibility of understanding from life. Life offers plenty of opportunities to learn, but we fail to learn because we get attached, involved, and are not separate from the things from which we are supposed to learn. We identify ourselves with so many other things and forget our own self, our true nature. And as long as we do not understand this, there is no possibility of liberation. There is no possibility of knowing our own nature, our own origin, our divine origin. So how to face these situations? We cannot remain without karma in life. All religious teachings have told us from ages onwards that we cannot live without action. And that is obvious. What is in our hand is how to perform these actions. We cannot be without action, actionless. But what is in our hand is to perform the action in the right way. And therefore, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have to perhaps understand the importance of Buddha said, the Eightfold Path, which begins with right perception. Right perception, which leads to right knowledge, right thinking, right action. If the action is right, then we can avoid the consequences which we give rise to as a result of our wrong actions. So right action is a right way of approaching the problems which we face due to the operation of law of karma. So what is right action again? A man who is selfish, self-interested, self-centered can see things right only if they are beneficial to him, only they are satisfying his own selfish interest. He fails to see in a broader way what is really right and what will really help his growth, development, evolution, and finally his liberation. So, do we have the ability to analyze our own karmas in a detached manner, in an independent way, without being conditioned or without being dominated by the consideration of the selfish interest, selfish motives? Can we perform right action without motive? Can we become desireless? Because desire is at the root of our thoughts and actions, which are in the direction of fulfillment of our desire. If we are desireless, then actions arising out of our desire to obtain the object of our desire will end. So our action should not be for fulfillment of our desires. Then for what we will act? If we have the final goal of our existence in mind, and if we are influenced and directed by that goal, which is clearly indicated in the divine plan, then we have to use our faculties of discrimination, desirelessness, viveka, vairagya. These will help us to really guide our life in such a way that we will perform only those actions which will be in line with the divine fulfillment of the divine plan. We, as long as look at ourselves as separate from the whole, separate from the nature, we will fail to understand this, fail to perceive this truth, which is at the root of one life, which we share one life, but we don't feel it, we don't experience it. We consider our individual existence as a separate life, and therefore work for that life only, and which is naturally in conflict with all other lives in existence. If our actions are guided by consideration of one life or consideration of good of all, where we will seek our own progress not at the cost of others, but the progress of all will automatically lead to the progress of one. Happiness of all will naturally involve happiness of one, each one. When we will develop this sensitivity of one life, all the actions which are resulting in disturbing the balance or equilibrium of nature will automatically cease. Our actions will be such as will ensure this harmony, balance, peace, which is at the root of this universe, and which is continuously being maintained by nature, and we have only to cooperate with nature. Do we cooperate through our actions with the nature? That is a basic fundamental question. If we stop all those activities, actions, which are contrary to the scheme of nature, to the scheme of divine plan, the conflicts will end. The disturbing of the peace and harmony at the root of which man is will end, and a new era will begin, where the actions will be guided by the divine purpose. And when that happens, the karma will be of a different nature. The forces which we generate will not rebound back to us, because they are not self-oriented, they are all-oriented. Therefore, the effects which now have to be worked out, either immediately or after a lapse of time or after incarnations, will not arise. We will understand nature, we will obey the laws of nature, we will cooperate with nature, we will not disturb the equilibrium and balance of the nature. If that happens, then the causes which we create will not produce the problems and will not face the consequences of those problems in future. So we have to look at this whole thing as the nature of causes which we create. Are they really in conformity with the scheme of evolution, or are they dragging us behind or in the opposite direction of evolution? A man being selfish and self-centered has separated himself from the scheme of nature. He has to become part of the nature. He has to become one with the whole nature. And see that the forces it generates will be in line with the forces of nature. They will strengthen the nature. They will hasten the process of nature. There is a natural scheme of evolution in the nature, according to which all other kingdoms are evolving. And same scheme also applies to humanity as well. And humanity as a whole is also evolving, but at a very insignificant speed. It has taken millions of years so far, because that natural process is not aided by human efforts as free agent in nature. We are many times, in fact, creating problems, creating blocks in the natural process. We are creating resistance. We have to obey the laws of nature, and through obedience only we can control the nature. So law of karma, if properly understood, can really be worked out in such a way that all the sufferings which we are creating as a result of lack of understanding of the law of nature and the wrong way of operating that law in our selfish interest is creating most of the problems. And to avoid those problems, we have to change our whole attitude. We have to see that our intellect is dominating us and we are not availing of the real faculty of buddhi, which is the real source of understanding of the unity of life, the universal brotherhood without any distinction. That is the goal of Theosophical Society, which indicates that we have to understand the difference between intellect and buddhi or intelligence. Our intellect is mostly guided by our past. Even the people who can understand well the working of the law are many times dominated by this conditioning by the past. That influence is so dominant that even the thoughtful people many times commit mistakes at the spur of moment and land themselves into trouble. So that all the good work that they have done, its effects are not really realized because of one blunder which we may commit at the spur of moment. That's why one has to be very vigilant, thoughtful, careful, that any acts out of temporary temptations, temporary allurement, do not take place on our part. All such actions need to be carefully avoided, restrained from, and therefore we have to develop that right perceptions of things. We have to develop a holistic view, not a limited, selfish view, but view that will cover good of all. Sarve sukhinas santu, sarve santu niramaya. That should be our attitude. That should be our approach. With that kind of approach, if our actions are properly guided, then we will create less of karma, which gets accumulated. We should be able to work out karma in the same life, same incarnations. Therefore, we should perform karma carefully. Only such karmas as we can work out in our present life itself, so that there is no need of carrying forward karmas to the future. By creating karmas which need to be worked out in future, we create an opportunity for future incarnation. We are many times so much attached to this life that we are afraid of death. We want to survive, we want to live, but at the same time, we don't utilize this incarnation for the purpose for which it is meant. We get attached to many things of life which are really undesirable for our liberation. If we, being free agents in nature, keep ourselves liberated for all these conditionings, all these attachments, all these temptations, all these fleeting things, which are of temporary nature, then it is possible to lead a life which will not create the necessity of reincarnation. We must understand this, that by every of our action, we are creating necessity of a compulsory pilgrimage, as it is called by HPB. We have become members of that compulsory pilgrimage because of our own actions, because of our own ignorance of the law of karma and its operation. So understanding of this will perhaps enable us to limit ourselves to only essential karmas, essential actions, which will lead towards in the direction of liberation. We must be careful to give a proper direction to our energy, which is at our disposal to perform karma. If the direction is not in the direction of evolution, which is the divine plan, then we will be wasting our energy, which can be utilized for better purposes. And it's not only waste of energy, but it is creating of future liability. And this future liability compels us to take a rebirth, reincarnation. So the whole law of karma has to be studied from this point of view, that we have created this cycle of birth and death, or birth and rebirth, through ignorance of the law of operation of karma. If we understand it rightly, then we can control our actions. Actions, therefore, it is said nishkama karma. What is nishkama karma? Karma which is not created or directed by desire is nishkama karma. And another thing that I am doing this. I am the actor. That feeling attracts the reaction of the action towards the actor. If we can avoid that actorship or doership of the karma, then we will be able to avoid the forces which come back to us, rebound to us as a result of the karma which we perform. Can we do karma, perform karma in that fashion, forgetting our own doership? Can we only become a medium of action, not the actor oneself? That's why there is an idea of devotion, sacrifice, not taking credit for doing something. Even if we do some good karma, we should not take the credit for that karma. If it is a charity, charity done by right hand should not be known to the left hand. That's how it is described. So can we do even good things without taking credit for the self, without taking actorship? So in other words, we have to work like divine agents, agents of the divine power. Our potentialities should be utilized for the larger purpose, greater purpose, universal purpose, for one life and not for individual life. If the sense of separation, sense of being separate from others could be eliminated from our whole thinking, feeling, and action, then perhaps we turn a new chapter and lives will be guided by a different force. I think I will stop here and we will have some kind of dialogue if you like, or you can give your views, points of views, where I can, if necessary, contribute, supplement. Thank you.
Thank you,
बहुत
brother.
सुंदर।
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
अब किसी ने कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछने हैं या किसी को कुछ मन में है तो वो अपने क्वेश्चन करें प्लीज।
I will just take a 2 minutes gap. Huh? I will come back.
हाँ हाँ प्लीज।
Good evening, everyone. May I ask question? As he has gone back, so should I wait for him to come back?
No, you please ask your question.
Okay. So my question is like, as I have understood that the act of doership shouldn't be there. So suppose I'm praying for someone's life, praying for saving of someone's life. So from the point of view of law of karma, how do you see it?
Brother
Am I
Sharanji,
clear?
yes, you are clear. Brother Sharanji, would you like
Okay.
to answer? आप आंसर करना चाहेंगे सर?
तेंदुलकर जी आ गए हैं। तेंदुलकर जी।
Okay, sister, can you just repeat your question again?
Yeah, sure. So my question is that one should refrain from act of doership, as you said. So if I'm praying for someone's to save someone's life, so what kind of consequences it could have, and how do you see it from the point of view of law of karma?
Consequences will depend on what is your inner strength. If it is Buddha consciousness, if it were Buddha who is giving blessings, it will have different effect. But Buddha also didn't at all interfere with the karma. Say, you remember the story of Kisa Gotami. She lost her child and she didn't know at all about the death. She had never faced death. So she was taking the child in the streets of Sravasti and she was telling that, please give some medicine. He is not dead. He can be cured. So somebody understood that she will not understand what is death. So she was sent to the Buddha. Now Buddha, he saw that this lady didn't know about law of karma, that death is inevitable. And if he want, and he realized, he had the compassion, but he didn't show the miracle. He only thought that it was proper to let her understand that this is the universal truth. And so he asked for the mustard seed, but only to be brought from a house where nobody was dead, and she couldn't find out. So ultimately, he told her about the death, and she understood it. She buried the boy. She cremated the boy, and later on also became a bhikkhuni and arhant in the Buddha's ladies group. So if you pray from, it will depend on how effective we are from within. It will depend on exclusively on that, how effective the result will be. A person like Chund Sukarit, whose story comes in Dhammapad in the first chapter, who had acted for 55 years, only killing the animals, and he was staying just by the side of the Buddha Vihar. He never given even a spoon of rice as alms to the bhikkhus. So when he died, he had very miserable, death here also and post death also. So suppose he had a son who was sick and he was trying to help his son, will it be effective? I don't think it will be effective. So I think this is how I understand it. It will depend on how pure we are from within. So what will be reflected outside will be only the reflection of what is inside. And that is how, it is said about Ramakrishna Paramhans, that once he saw a cow being taken by a butcher man, and he was beating the cow. So he was so moved that after sometimes the disciples saw that there were marks of a lashing on his back. So he couldn't tolerate. He took the lashes on his back. But that depends on if the person is a person of the stature of Ramakrishna Paramhans.
Our masters have indicated in their letters to A.O. Hume and A.P. Sinnett that this karma is not transferable. One has to work out his own karma. Even if they say we don't give any instructions or orders to the disciples, disciple has to use his own discretion, what he should do, what he should not do. Otherwise, if the disciple simply obeys the master or guru, he only carries the credit for the obedience of the orders, not for doing the thing. That's why they specifically avoid and allow the disciple to develop. Even Krishnamurti has therefore said that one has to develop self-reliance. Self-reliance has been considered very important in spiritual progress because the effect of karma depends upon one's own performance, not performance at the direction of others. So that is necessary for benefits of our own karmas. If they are done at the instructions of others, then we may not be either beneficial or responsible for those karma when somebody else gets those things done from us. We have to perform our karma with our own thinking, with our own discretion.
Thank you, brother. Sister, I
Thank
would like to add my comments to your question. Anything that we do from our own free will is our karma. And karma is a force that we introduce into the world. Therefore, when we introduce the karma of praying for the recovery of somebody, then we are introducing a force. And that force will act upon that person who has his own individual karma and other forces also acting upon him from other people's wishes. Therefore, a cumulative, let's say, a resultant action will take place in which your prayer will also play a part. How strong that will be in creating the final result depends upon your strength of force. That is the force that you have imparted from you. Now, the second question is, if you have done this karma impersonally without any personal interest, for supposing if there is a personal interest in the recovery of the person, if it is a loved one, somebody you really would like that the person should survive, should recover fast, and there is some motive behind it. That motive not being love, impersonally, there is no motive, there is a personal motive, then the reaction will also come upon you. And that because you are doing a good karma, good action, then that will have an impact upon you and you will also receive similar karma as a result of that. Now, if the intention is bad, supposing instead of praying for somebody, you intend or you wish somebody that that person should suffer from some disease or some other misfortune, then similarly the same thing will happen. Karma is impartial in this way. I hope I've answered. If you have any follow-up question, please ask.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, all of you, for your comments. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I may just like to add a little to the wonderful talk given by Brother Tendulkar. Am I permitted, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
say I am asking the president, am I permitted to speak, sir?
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome, please.
Okay. I am going through a book known as the Buddhist Law of Karma and Rebirth. The Buddhist Law of Karma and Rebirth, written by one bhikkhu from Bangalore. Now, this book says that actions which we perform, unless it is having that, motivation और इसमें इच्छा शक्ति अगर उसमें इन्वॉल्व्ड है तब that will create karma. And if it doesn't involve ichha shakti, it is a routine type of wishful thinking or routine type of things which we are doing. They don't create karma unless there is that desire to do that intentionally. It doesn't create karma. That book says from Buddhist perspective. And that way it means all karmas are actually actions because they have been done as action with some motivation, self-volition. Yes, the word used is self-volition. So action plus self-volition becomes karma. And if there is no self-volition, no desire, I mean, in a casual way, I have had some wishful thinking, right or wrong, just like that, it came as a cloud and it went away, or routine type of things I am doing in home or somewhere where I just have to desire a little, that's all. There is no strong force behind it, then it doesn't create karma. So all karmas have been action in the past, but all our actions need not result into karma subsequently. This is the view given in that book by Bhikkhu Buddha Ghosh, probably Buddha Ghosh, from Bangalore Mahabodhi Society. So I just felt like sharing it because the topic was similar. Thank
Yeah,
you very
yeah.
much, President, for permitting me.
Very nice.
It's quite a good way of presenting Buddhist point of view. I think here we can make little distinction between desire and willpower. Desire creates karmas which rebound to us. Willpower, I think, making a resolution for certain things to happen, not for any self-gain or self-interest, but in a wider interest of the whole community or humanity. Those kind of forces generated will not be in the form of individual karma. They are not binding upon anyone, but they create, I think, productive energy to perhaps create better environment, better setting for healthy growth and harmonious existence.
Brother, I would also like to add that our actions are acts of commissions as well as acts of omission.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
though that Buddhist viewpoint, which just Brother Sharanji mentioned, in our, what I've understood is that karma is whatever we do forms karma. Whether it will react back upon us or not depends upon how much personally we have done, how much impersonally we have done. This much is
Right.
clear. Now, all actions will have some reaction, some consequently, some sort of progression of cause and effect. Therefore, let's take an example. Supposing I'm coming home and I've been asked to bring something from the market and I forget to bring. It is not a willful action that I should forget. It just happened
Yeah.
that I forgot. It was not meant in any way that I should not bring or anything. Now, when I come back home and I realize that I did not bring something, I have to go back to the market and get it. Therefore, I have done one action of omission unintentionally, but it has happened and it has had consequences to it. Similarly, there are many, many such examples. So I would slightly differ from brother's viewpoint, that Buddhist author's viewpoint, that all actions will produce their reactions of karma or further progression of their actions. Thank you.
किसी और ब्रदर ने कोई क्वेश्चन या कोई बात करनी है? हेलो,
I will only add to these comments by Brother Mathur.
Dr. Rajiv Gupta. He was Dr. Rajiv Gupta was telling. I am Rajiv Mathur.
Dr.
Rajiv Gupta.
Rajiv Gupta, yes. Rajiv Gupta, about Rajiv Gupta's comments, I would like to add that perhaps omission to do a thing may be a result of our not paying sufficient attention or giving sufficient importance to the action which we are required to perform. And there, for this lapse of lack of attention or omission to give importance at a mental level results in causing us mental uneasiness, tension, repentance, and things like that. And then we have to correct it by some physical action at the physical level. So, though it is inaction, omission is an inaction, but in a way it is also considered as an action of a different nature. Therefore, we are also responsible for inactions as well as actions. Actions which are to be performed but not performed, and inactions which we have omitted to perform. Both have their effects so far as law of karma is concerned.
Brother President, I have a question to myself, and I have also a question for others. The question is that you remember in science, we used to read something in theory, and then we used to go to the laboratory and we used to experiment and prove that it was also true from the practical point of view. Now, is there a way by which we are all discussing what will constitute karma, what will not constitute karma? So, is there a way by which we can say, like litmus test? We can say, yes, this is karma. And so, if people know it, that this will be karma, if it creates bad karma for them, they will avoid it. But if it creates good karma for them, it will help them to do that karma. Now, just as in science we do it in laboratory, can there be something by which we can confirm, yes, this is the right karma, doing this will result into right karma, doing this will result into wrong karma? There were people in the past, say Mogalan, who was Buddha's disciple. He used to go to the heavens and to the hell, and he used to come back and tell the people, these are the people in hell, they have done such and such acts, so they are in the hell, and these are people who are in the heaven. And so he used to motivate people to do the right things.
Brother, the way to find scientifically, if one has to see, then one has to see all the forces in the subtler planes. So when the physical action is done as well as the astral and the mental action, so person should have the ability to see in all the three planes how the forces are being generated, and also in the if it is in the same life one can see. Otherwise, then one would like to have also the higher mental plane consciousness, then to see how the action which was produced is going to is bringing about the result in subsequent incarnation or subsequent time. Now that since we don't have, we can't scientifically prove this, but in one indirect way we can prove the law of karma, and that is that if we see the unfair nature of the various things which happen to us and to others. For example, we see people who are we call them unfortunate, that people who are living in the street right now, who are born in the street. Now, just now, Mukesh Ambani's grandchild was born. At that same time, so many other children have been born. So, why his grandchild was born in his place and other children on the street or some other places they have been born? So, all these anomalies, all this is explained only by the law of karma, nothing else. In that way, we can prove, in a way, indirectly, the law of karma. Thank you.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you.
यहाँ पर एट द फीट ऑफ द मास्टर में जो बात कही गई है, प्लान ऑफ एवोल्यूशन, हम लोग
Yes.
उसको सिर्फ जान लें अगर, तो हमने क्या करना है अपने अंदर, इस बात को बार बार कहा गया है एट द फीट ऑफ द मास्टर में, कि वो शायद एक रियल टेस्ट है। ऐसा मेरे को लगता है कि कौन सा हमको जाना है, पाथ ऑफ एवोल्यूशन या पाथ ऑफ सेल्फिशनेस। तो मोटा मोटा हम लोगों के एक्शन शायद उससे गाइड हो सकते हैं, ऐसा मेरे को लगता है।
Yes, I agree. Here, our faculty of discrimination will be of help to us in deciding whether we are moving in the right direction, in the direction of evolution, whether it will help our attainment of goal in life, or it is not. What is clear in evolution that we are moving towards perfection of our potentialities. We are made on the basis of archetypes in the divine mind. So if we can meditate on that archetype, perhaps that will throw light on our path of action, what way we should act and what way we should not act. That divine image of man has to be kept in mind, I think, if we want to move in the right direction. That which does not satisfy the criteria of that divine image of man, that will help us to discriminate between right and wrong.
थैंक यू ब्रदर तेंदुलकर जी, आपने बहुत ही अच्छा इसको
Thank you,
समझाया।
sir.
हमारे शरण जी ने चीजों को बहुत अच्छे से और बताया।
Yeah,
आपने
yeah.
बहुत ही आसान शब्दों में इतने कठिन सब्जेक्ट को डील किया और कैसे हम लोगों को बताया कि वन लाइफ और उसमें हमको कैसे जीना है, कैसे हमको इक्विलिब्रियम ऑफ नेचर के साथ चलना है। तो थैंक यू ब्रदर।
Thank you, sir.
अब हम लोग क्लोजिंग की तरफ बढ़ते हैं।
Yes.
नेक्स्ट टाइम का प्लीज मेंशन, नेक्स्ट टाइम का बता दीजिए।
नेक्स्ट टाइम का हमारा टॉक रहेगा 26 दिसंबर, ब्रदर NC कृष्णा, नेशनल लेक्चरर, और टॉपिक होगा 26 दिसंबर को व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ। जो आपने आज थोड़ा सा टच किया था उसको ही हम लोग आगे फर्दर लेंगे। व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ और व्हाट इज साधना, ये टॉपिक रखा है NC कृष्णा जी ने। तो अब हम लोग प्रेयर करते हैं और क्लोजिंग करते हैं। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सन्तु, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति।